What's up, y'all? It's Christine Pelaez, ADHD, bipolar type 1, nurse, and your host of Soul Centered, a mental health podcast about all things taboo, vulnerable, and soul searching. I normalize talking about mental health to know myself and get soul centered. My dream is that all of healthcare becomes soul centered for both patients and staff alike. So today I want to talk about self-doubt and how that shows up whenever we try something new. So let me give you a little bit of background, and it's the first time I've given this background here. So the beginning of the year, I became hospitalized and diagnosed with bipolar type, actually just bipolar. And then I shortly after went into a program that taught me DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. And that really made me want to, it allowed me to look at my life and figure out that I wanted to change so many things. And one of them is to let go of perfectionism, which is huge. And then another one is to let go of shame, which is huge because shame is just in everything. And that's honestly, I was going to name this podcast Shame because that's what I wanted to talk about, because it's like so deeply embedded in like everything. So anywho, yeah. So what else? Yeah, and so now this transformation, of trying to shed my old self, of all of these kind of, well, quote unquote negative traits, right? Or toxic, these toxic traits. I wanted to shed myself of those, and so I'm undergoing this transformation like right now, and part of the reason why I wanted to host this podcast is to talk about that and inspire others to undergo their own transformation, because it is really, really hard. And so that's why I say that I talk about vulnerable things, because this is my life. I'm gonna talk about vulnerable things. And heads up, I just got finished with therapy, so hopefully I'm done crying like for today. And I do understand why my therapist was like, she mentioned that I just wrote a memoir, and then this podcast is very vulnerable, and that I think that it, like, she gave this implication that this might be like too heavy for me, like as in I might be putting myself through too much. I forgot to put on my rings because I was like urgently trying to start this. Well, that's okay. So like my cactus, it's been growing a lot. Sorry, I want to get into let's put in some fun, okay? Let me add some fun, because I just got finished with therapy and I wanted to do this podcast because I was feeling kind of good. So, okay. The month is almost June, so we're March 28th? No, May 28th, 2024, right? And I feel like my plants have just like blossomed. Like all of them are like, woo, it's warm, let me grow, okay? So like you probably can't see the difference in color, right? But whenever a plant grows something new, it's a lighter shade of green, okay? So like this part right here is all brand new, like with all these like new kind of green spiky things. Yeah, that's all brand new. Yeah, and like all of these new spiky things, that's all new too. It's looking like there's this other cactus plant that's called castle cactus. My friend Joyce has one of those, and it's kind of reminding me of that. And whenever I see or hear the word castle now, I like think back to Howl's Moving Castle. Have you seen that? It's a Ghibli, I can't pronounce I don't know the name, studios, animation studios movie. And so I'm obsessed. I'm like obsessed. I was like, I'm gonna buy the book and read the book, because the book I heard is a little bit different, or it's quite different at the end. So anyway, when I hear the word castle, I'm like into it. Yeah, fun fact, I'm super into romance, like the Hunger Games, like that whole series I had on my phone, I think, yeah, on Kindle or what have you. And like I literally highlighted all of the romance novels and just reread romance novels, the romance sections, and just reread that whole thing, like just for the romance. And I was also big into Twilight. Yeah, Team Edward. Yeah, okay, so that's my plant. And this is my notebook. And I'm wearing black. So I'm wearing black because we're grieving my old self. I haven't talked about that yet, but we'll talk about that. And then I added fun pants because to add some fun to my outfit. And I kind of feel bad that I'm not wearing my rings, but it's okay. Because I don't know if you've noticed in the previous episodes, like I wear like a lot of rings, and I wear like 2 to 3 bracelets each. Yeah. Oh, I'm not wearing earrings either. Man, I am not blinked out for you today. We are plain Christine. But you know, in my mind, plain Christine is like, she's a relaxation Christine. She's a just stay at home and admire all of the things Christine. Yeah, so and this is one of my ficus. Let's see, I don't know how far over here you can see, but this is a Scindapsus. Scindapsis, Scindapsus. But pretty, huh? Yeah, colorful. A different section for you. Yeah, as you can see, my goal is that every episode, for so many episodes, you know, we pick a different place. I don't know who's we, you and me. I pick a different place for us to hang out at, right? Like we're hanging out in my house. Isn't this couch cool? It's this yellow couch. I totally got it used. It smells like an old person. You know, like old person smell. But yeah, that's okay. I felt like, you know, it gives it character and a life. So yeah, and my nose doesn't work that well anyway. So, okay, back to me and my self-doubt. So starting something new, and then this podcast is kind of big, and like my dreams are pretty big, right? For everyone to be soul-centered. I say healthcare, but like I would really like everyone to be soul-centered, meaning what? Like that they know themselves and they really know what they want, right? Because now we're in a culture where it's all about distraction, so you can't feel. But I think it's because we're all in pain, you know? Just, yeah. Okay. So I wanted to show you some art because I was talking to my coach yesterday. Yeah, and she helped me work through some of the self-doubt that I'm experiencing. But look at this. It's wild. It's Pluto. That's my cat. You saw my cat last episode. Yeah, it's like this black cat. Senior Kittison, old guy. I don't know, he's at least 14 or 15, something. But yeah, but this got wild. But okay, so his eyes are green, and then I started making like, I don't know, rays around him that were green, and then I added this blue thing because I tried to copy it to match this one. Yeah, anywho. Yeah. So I was talking to Nadia, my creative coach, yesterday, and we were talking about how lately I've been feeling just this self-doubt and also this sadness. And I was going through it myself, like, what is this sadness about? And then I was like, am I grieving? Like, am I grieving like the old me? And then tears started falling, right? Like tears started falling. I was like, wow, I guess I am grieving like this old me, right? But it's not like the old me is gonna be shed like all at once. And that is also part of this, like I'm processing with you, and also like talking it out with you and things that I've learned. And so I also wrote, one kind of affirmation that Nadia helped me figure out was, she asked me like, what is it that you're going to feel once you obtain this dream goal of everyone being soul-centered? And I was like, I would feel peace, and safety. And she was like, why don't you offer yourself peace now? Like, you don't have to wait. And that's something that, loving kindness, the idea of loving kindness, I think it is. So that's, in my mind, the idea that loving kindness does, right? So when you offer yourself loving kindness, like words of tenderness and words of comfort, it's like you are being your own best friend, right? So when she said that, I was like, oh yeah, that's perfect. Like, that I can give myself tenderness and peace now. And so I wrote that down, like, and then I reworded it to be like, this is a big deal and challenging, so I will give myself tenderness and peace now. And then I did this piece. Yeah, I thought this was kind of cool. So I used alcohol marker, and then I later on outlined it with a pen. Yeah, and that's washi tape. I have a bunch of washi tape. That's yeah. And then I also made this piece. It says self-doubt. And so, like, what were things associated with self-doubt? It's change, right? And then trying something new, and growing pains. And I realized, like, that's what growing pains are, right? It's like you're growing, you're evolving, you're changing. And so it's not going to be easy. And when people say it's not going to be easy, it's going to be hard, it's like they're speaking to the emotional part of it, like that you're going to feel hard emotions, right? You're not going to be happy all the time. It's going to be uncomfortable there. It's going to be uncomfortable. So that I will take with me when I go back to work. So I'm going to go back to work, I think, next week. So I haven't been working because of my mental health crisis. So mental health crisis started in January, and so I've been off for like 5 months. And I'm gonna go back to work. I'm a nurse, right? So I'm a nurse in a cancer infusion center. I give a lot of chemo. So the work itself wasn't that hard, but I'm still worried that I will overwork myself, because actually, you know what? Okay, the work wasn't as bad as inpatient. Inside the hospital, inpatient and inside the hospital they're like synonyms. So but you know what, there were some bad days and dealing with lots of bullshit. So yeah, it could be stressful still, like pretty stressful. So now I'm having to create boundaries with myself, and like the thing is, like, my worth was tied into my productivity. That's capitalism bullshit, right? That's like so common. Like, my worth, I tied my worth, the old me tied my worth into my productivity, but that's toxic to my mental health. And I've worked now so hard to become stable, and now I have different values for my life. And so now it's like, how do I protect my peace, right? It's like, so today when I was talking to my therapist, she's like, how will you know in your body that, you know, that you are being like pushed outside your boundaries? And I was like, I think it's when I start feeling a sense of urgency, right? And so when I feel a sense of urgency, for me, it shows up in my face. A lot of emotions show up in my face, but like a scrunching of my eyes, something like that. And then I think there's also this like lump in my throat kind of thing. It's like, okay, I'm getting ready to, well, not the lump, but like the eyes. It's like getting ready to go to do something. And so whenever this happens in my body, it's like realizing that urgency is here, right? It is present, and it is a part of me. Like, maybe not the, you know, it's not a part of me that's serving me anymore. I mean, it can, but anyway. So it's like acknowledging, like, okay, urgency, you're here, but you know what? You're not driving right now. Like, you sit over there and you watch me. You watch me ground and relax, because I'm not ready right now. Like, I'm not ready to take a new patient, or I'm not ready to take on more work, or what have you. So yeah, so that's one thing I'm going to practice when I get back to work. Yeah, and then also, and that's gonna, and like Charlene, my therapist, said, she's like, you know, that's gonna be uncomfortable. And so dealing with the discomfort, I'll ground myself. So grounding yourself is like, puts you back into reality, and ideally out of your emotional mind. So I will ground myself by taking a deep breath. Which is usually quite relaxing. And then, or if I don't want to take a deep breath, then like wiggle my toes, or just, you know, feel my back against the chair. Yeah, so this is just like, just being mindful in the moment. I told Charlene that I know that it'll be okay, that I'll be okay. And she's like, yeah, you have 100% success rate. Like, you're still here. You've been through hard things, right? And I was like, yeah. And I started crying, like, because I've been through some shit, like lately, like a lot of shit. So yeah. I don't know, let's see. Self-doubt and how I was feeling. It seems like I always want to go dark. Like, I want to tell you like the deepest, saddest like shit, but it doesn't always have to be like that, right? Like, does it? No. I guess that's sometimes how I want to be, or ish. Okay, here, let's get into, I want to talk about like the urgency me, because before I used to want like always go, 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 right? Like I would look around, for example, in my apartment, I have a lot of plants, right? So in my apartment, like if I see a vine that could be positioned in a more aesthetic way, it's like, oh, I have to do that. It was go, go, go. And so now I'm in this place where it's like I am rejecting perfection, because I want to just be and know that that's okay. Ooh, that phrase, that's okay, which is a hard phrase for me to embody. But so back to my plants. So like go, 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 like I would look at my plants like how could this look better? Like that. Like and now I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let it be. And that is uncomfortable because that's not my default, And so, yeah, Charlene was right. This is like, yeah. Yeah. It's hard, and it's like a constant reminder to accept things just the way they are. That was always hard for me, because what if it was maladaptive, or like what if it was like hurting you? That's different. Like if it's not hurting you, right, then let it be. If it's not hurting you, then where's the beauty in it? Yeah, that's one way. Another way to look at things. Like how can you just admire it as it is? And the same thing goes about yourself, right? It's like, I'm fine. It's fine. I'm fine just the way I am. And that's hard. That's really hard. Oh, like talking to Nadia, my creative coach, she's like, you're having hard feelings right now, big feelings right now, and that's okay. And I'm like, huh? What do you mean it's okay? I'm hurting. Yeah, it's like big hard feelings are okay. Like they will pass, And this is the part that's always like, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. That's still hard. Like in general, it's like, yeah, I know there's nothing wrong with me, but do I? Well, like, why do I work so hard, But yeah. So that's something definitely that I'm still working on. Yeah. It's so cute? Like, I have my cat, Pluto. And this doesn't have to do with Pluto, sorry. This is just like a reminder, I'm going to tell you something. So, I just held on to another notebook for those podcast listeners. So Pluto, my cat, is so cute. Like he's a cuddler, okay? So like we'll be by each other sometimes, and then he'll just have one paw on me. It's like he always wants to touch me. It's so cute. That is so cute. His love language is touch, mine too. So that's nice. Okay, like back to Nadia, and we were talking about like you can give yourself tenderness, and in my mind tenderness was like, it's about being kind and like loving, like in the way that I'm talking to myself. And so yesterday, I have this notebook here, and this notebook I actually brought with me to Nepal. I brought this notebook with me to Nepal, and yeah, so I was just like fingering through it, And then I came across this list and I was like, huh, what's this list about? And I was like, things I admire about. And I was like, oh. And then immediately, so this is a list about of this guy that I met there that I like totally had a huge crush on, that I totally forgot about. So I had this big, huge crush on him, right? It's like, things that I like about. Oh my God. Yeah, and then it gave me such tender feelings. And I thought like, wow, how that is so serendipity for Nadia to remind me that I can give myself tenderness and peace, and then be reminded and given this feeling of tenderness when I thought about someone that I had such a huge crush on, you know? And so yeah, it's like also, I think that's a practice that they say too, like remind yourself of a time when you felt tenderness, you know? It's like, oh, that's perfect. It's like, the universe just gave me this tender moment and I felt better. You know, yeah, I feel like with a lot of good and bad, a lot of good feelings, there's like bad feelings too. You know how you have a crush and then you also are a little bit heartbroken because you can't be with them, or you wish you could be with them, something like that. Yeah, but I feel like the sadness has dissipated because time has passed. It's been over a year, and so yeah, nice feelings of a crush. Oh, you know, clearly I'm single, right? Why would I, you know? But tender feelings. So anywho, I just wanted to talk about, we're talking about self-doubt. I'm going through big things. I'm gonna have big emotions, going through big changes. And there's also that they say that you should remind yourself of hard things that you've done, right? It's like, I have gone through and done hard things. I can do this hard thing. And it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to not be perfect. And it's okay if old parts of you show up. Don't push them away, acknowledge them. Because if you push them away, they might come back stronger. That's what Charlene taught me. So my sense of urgency, it will come, and acknowledge it. And if I don't need its presence, if I don't need it, then just let it be. Yeah. We'll leave with that. We'll leave with, okay, what should we leave with? Okay, what am I working on? I am remembering that right now I am going through big change, okay? Big change is going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be really hard feelings that get involved, and self-doubt will happen, okay? I need to remind myself of my goals, for one, but I also need to remind myself that tenderness and peace can be had right now, that I don't need to wait, and that I can ground myself in the moment, and that I want to slow down and remind myself that I am worthy just the way I am, that I am loved for being me, my worth is not tied into doing. And I can just be at home and chill. And I don't have to do a goddamn thing. Yeah. See you next time.